Hey Winnie viewers, it's Lynn. Well, instead of enjoying the beautiful outdoors today, I'm going to be spending it underneath my RV trying to fix my Kwikee Step motor. So join me now and let's see if we can get this thing fixed and working. Okay, so these are the infamous Kwikee Steps. I'm going to show you right now the sound that they're making when I try and turn on the motor. Pretty ugly, huh? So what we're going to try and do is fix this. And I think what's happening is that a plastic gear in the motor is has stripped a little bit, and that's why it makes that horrendous noise. So by replacing the motor, we hope to fix the problem. Okay, so I'm underneath the steps now, and I'm going to show you a little bit about the components of the Kwikee from underneath the, I've got a Series 32 two-step Kwikee Step. So the first little booger here is called the cotter pin assembly, and this is what holds the steps to the linkage, the linkage gear. And from there, on top, the gear is driven by this electric motor. It's actually a power window motor used in cars. So pretty sturdy stuff, but it does tend to break up after a couple of years. There's a plastic gear in the motor that seems to want to strip some of its gears, and when it does, it either makes the steps inoperable or it produces that really ugly noise that you just heard. So some of the instructions have said that you need to remove this cotter pin and this clevis. I'm not sure if that's the case, so I'm going to first try and see if I can get these steps removed, or get the motor removed without having to remove this cotter pin. We'll see how that works, and if it doesn't work, well then we're going to have to remove it. Another thing you can see is that I now have my little box underneath the bottom step, so if my steps start to flop around a little bit, I've got the protection of them not coming and hitting me while I'm underneath the step. Okay, we're going to take this four-way plug and disconnect it. It's basically just this little catch here. You just pull that out and wiggle a little bit, and it comes free. And you can see the four-way plug. So the step motor is connected with a little 2-pin wire that goes into the motor and then goes back to the control unit. So it's held in place by a little clicker here, just a little guy that you need to push in to then pull out. We hope. There we go. So there's the little 2-pin connector. Okay, this clevis pin has been a pain in the butt. It's really hard to get out. I have kind of worked it a little bit, but what I've found, instead of using just needle nose pliers, I had to use this awl and stick this awl into the hole here, and that seems to be giving me some more leverage to pull it out. There it went. So now that the clevis pin is out, and I just have this well, I guess the clovis, whatever that little wire thing is, now that that's out, I just have this pin that's in the linkage here. Now it should just slip out, but it is very tight in there. There's a lot of tension still. So I'm going to leave that where it's at. Now that I have the little the wire out, it'll make it a lot easier to work with it if I need to remove it later. But I'm going to go ahead and remove the motor now and see if I can get the motor replaced without having to touch that anymore. So I'm using a number 10 socket. It doesn't really need the extension, but I figured what the heck, I have it, so I might as well use it. But now that I've got the power removed, I'm going to give a try and see if we can get this thing, see if we can get these things off. Now, one thing that I have been warned about is when you do release the motor, there's a gear up in the linkage that's going to fall out with the motor, so you don't want to get this thing turned around, and you also don't want to be under it when it comes out, because there should be some grease or drippings like that that can come loose. Okay, there's one. Let's go with this one here. That one's in kind of tight, finger tight. I'll remove this guy. And now for the final. Let's see if this thing works. I'm holding onto the motor. The last screw is out. Now, let's see if we can, and of course we can't. It is still locked on there. From the gear, most likely. So I'm gonna put another bolt in there just to keep it secure, and then I'll work on getting this pin removed. So as it turned out, the motor actually I was able to get the motor off without pulling that clevis pin out. Basically all I had to do was just jiggle it a bit and hold my knee underneath the bottom step to kind of relieve some of the pressure on the link. And once I did that and jiggled this, I gave this a good tug, it came right out. Now the top portion of this with the gears is part of the linkage assembly. You don't get that when you buy a new motor. The new motor just comes with the shaft. So one thing we'll have to do is transfer this gear assembly and some of these washers to the new motor, and then grease up the gear and get it prepared to go back in. Okay, I've got a nice nitrile glove to try and keep some of the grease off my hands. I'm going to move the old gear from the old motor, put it onto a little towel here, and get the rest of these washers. Okay, everything looks about the same. So put these on the new one here. I noticed that this is also a piece that will have to go over to the new one as well. All right, so this just slides on. Stays pretty good there. We're going to wipe this off with the towel a little bit, get some of this excess old grease off, and we'll put some new grease on. pretty good. I'm using some Lucas extra heavy duty grease in LGI 2. And I don't have a grease gun, so I'm just going to kind of take the cap off and squirt some out here on my hand. And lube around the gear. Just making sure I get enough into all of the gear teeth to make sure there's good good lubrication there. And that looks pretty good. I'll put a little bit more on there, but I think we're pretty good until we get ready to take this underneath and install it. Okay, so if you ever wanted to see what's in a gear in the linkage, this is what the linkage looks like without the motor in it. So you can see the teeth that we're going to align our motor into. There's a little hole here where the that pin will stick right into, so it keeps the gears in line. And then over here you can see the cotter pin that we had such a hard time with. What I ended up doing was sticking my leg underneath the step. So when we get ready to put this thing back, I'll have it all the way up here, and then that should position the gears where I need to get them, holding the step kind of with my knee as I get ready to put the motor in. Okay, something else that I'm doing right now is, since this is nice and loose with this tension out, I'm putting this cotter pin all the way back in, and I want to get it positioned to where I can get that clevis pin out really nicely. So I'll probably just put it in about like that, and then that should be able to get me that that connection I need. All right, the moment of truth. We're going to try and see with this thing, with my knee all the way up, we're going to see if we can get this gear positioned back in where we need it. Okay, yeah, it does seem to be right where I need it. Just going to hand tighten these in. While my knee is holding the steps up into the all the way extended position, so I have a little bit of as you can see down there, my knee holding this thing up. Alright, now we will tighten it up. Okay, I had a minor little mishap with this pin here. One of the small wires broke off, so I've got it in here kind of a U-shaped. Hopefully that'll hold for a while until I can find some more wire, but I'm just going to let it go for now and hope for the best. So now I'm going to try and get this motor hooked up again. I want to be sure that I've got all my protective items here, so that if these steps happen to go anywhere, I'm covered. But I still do have the 4-way connector disconnected, so I think I'm pretty well off of power at the moment. but you know, you never want to assume. So this is all lined up again. I'll just push that in until it clicks. There it clicks. And everything looks good there. These are all tight. Do have a little play in the step, but I think that's pretty normal. Alright, so I'm going to stay pretty clear of these steps and plug in this final four-way connector. Oh, and that does definitely put the power back on. So did you notice that light came on again? The steps wanted to try and go up. I think what they were trying to do was just, you know, get reoriented and repositioned. So here we go again. Let's put the four-way connector back. Alright, that's good and tight. The light is on, so there is some power here. I think we're ready to give it a test. Okay, so it's now time for the moment of truth. Will these steps work when I get them powered up again? So let's go ahead and we'll flip our switch on, put our steps on, switch, close my screen door. The screen door has this magnetic activator that will activate the steps. So let's see if this works. Beautiful, just perfect. No more loud noises, no more cranky gears. I think we've got a winner.